freedom is different with every individual. And so once you get into a relationship, I think it's very important for both of you to define what freedom means to each of you, because these are issues that are influenced by, you know, different things, how you are brought up. When you, maybe to you, I need to be in the house by 8 in the evening, but to me, I need to work, I need to do things, and maybe that is freedom to me. So I think it's very important for everybody to be able to define what freedom is once you come together in a relationship.
This sounds to me like almost laying down the law. I mean, when we sit down and speak about it, you now say that, okay, in my view, by midnight, you're home. And then in your view, you tell me, but because you're a guy and you watch a lot of football, by 1 a.m. you should be here. When you say that, you all need to define, what do you mean?
Because it depends with what you're comfortable with. There are men who do not want women to come home at night. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then there are men who are okay with you working to whatever extent. Depends on your job, depends on when you actually get home at night. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's bring in Pastor Emmanuel and hear this. What are your thoughts on that? How much freedom should one have?
I think freedom is within bounds, just like she said. I mean, just like the law of the land. It states that this is the Constitution, this is what we do. So you're free to do everything within that Constitution. Like the Bible, like in church, there's values that are set. You're free to do anything within those bounds.
Right.
I think the same in relationships. It's important for you to define what a relationship is. I mean, what you guys expect, and what is the no-no, and what is the yes in the relationship, and then be free within those bounds.
Are those conversations that only happen at the beginning, or it's conversations that simply occur even after you get married?
I think they continually occur.
Right.
I mean, you're constantly evolving, you're constantly changing. You get to different seasons. Different seasons will determine different things and require different things. So you're constantly evolving. So it's important for you and your significant other to change with the times.
All right. Let's bring in Priscilla. Priscilla?
Adding on to what they both just said, I think when you talk about freedom, you have to be very specific with what you're talking about, because in different relationships, freedom looks different.
Right.
Because you can have a relationship where it's open. Some people do that. And within that, their boundaries of freedom is a lot more broader. Where you can have monogamous relationships, freedom will be different then, or have polygamous relationships, the freedom will be then different. So it's like setting down boundaries and setting down, I wouldn't say laws or rules, but what you're comfortable with and what that other person is comfortable with as well. And that's an ongoing thing, because you learn each other as you go along. So you might not realize that your partner is not comfortable with one thing, and he says it maybe 1 year down your relationship. So it's not a thing where, okay, we're in a relationship now, we're going to set down all the foundations and laws, etc. It's an ongoing thing.
But how much compromise does one have to take in? Because, say, for example, if we met at a nightclub at a particular time, and then when we're in the relationship, I'd prefer that you stay home. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I think compromise is a huge thing in a relationship. But if you've met in a nightclub and expect your partner to stay home all the time, that's really not fair. You should really think as a person, well, I did meet her or him out. So why...
does where you meet someone matter? If you met them in church, Pastor Emmanuel, if you meet them at the club, Trevor, and also if you met them at a political rally.
That was an example.
So does where you meet someone matter? The sort of boundaries that you put?
I think it matters with knowing the person. So if you met in a nightclub and you've always bumped into each other in a nightclub, it means you know this person's outgoing. They like to party. So you should have that at the back of your mind going into a relationship with them. If you met them at church and all of a sudden you say you don't want to go to church, and maybe they shouldn't go to church, but you met them in church and that's what they do. That's, you know, that's their Sundays. So you should it's not about boundaries, but it's about knowing the person. I think it matters where you've met them.
Beautiful. Okay. George, you're too quiet.
I'm in shock. I didn't know monogamy or polygamy was a right to be negotiated. Now that it's out there. No, my view is this freedom is about, again, rights. And I think couples transition from, in the beginning, there's a huge illusion that you have all the rights and all the freedom. And these keep disappearing the more you go into it. And that comes from two things. In the early dating days, we accommodate a lot. If you, even some simple pet peeve as you don't brush your teeth, really don't yell about it on day one. But day 100, it's a discussion. And the late night, where I met you, your Sundays, your Saturdays, those things transition. And those rights are, I think, in my view, founded on how you are raised or what you saw happening.
Your background.
Yes. So it's based on either you accept that men come home late, or you accept that you hate your father for coming home late. So you don't want either to see it with your husband. So and we hide a lot of that in the
Where is it acceptable? Where is it acceptable for a man? Where is it acceptable for a man to come home late, but it's not acceptable for a woman to